Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining this month's Teams and Partners Snack and Learn session where we are here to learn more about different applications that we can bring into Teams. I'm Travis Anderson, and with me is Doug. We're modern work customer success managers in the retail and consumer goods area, where we help drive Office 365 adoption through education and business value. And then really this year, a key focus for us is Microsoft Teams and sharing that platform value. So we'll share a little bit like what platform really means when we talk about that. But we're really excited to have the Smartsheet folks join us today and how they can accelerate business and drive efficiencies and share scenarios that should resonate with all of you here today. So thank you very much, Smartsheet folks. A couple of housekeeping notes. So we are recording the session as you see up in the banner, if you've dismissed that. The recording will be available, I would say, in the next 24 to 48 hours or so at that AKA link. And you'll probably notice that you can hover over and click on those links now because of the new PowerPoint sharing feature in Teams. So that's pretty cool. The link will be broken right now because there's nothing that hooks it up yet. But just remember that that will be the link where the recording will be shared. People are muted nicely. I appreciate that. If you have a question, raise your hand or throw it in chat. We've got folks to kind of help moderate. So, but if you want to raise your hand and come off mute to ask a question, please do that. Again, these are monthly, actually bi-monthly. It feels like we've been running these things weekly. We've had lots of other partners join us, whether it's ServiceNow, Workday, Mural, Brainstorm. So we've got lots of sessions, and we'll at the back end of this, we can share a couple of links too if there's interest of going back and watching those recordings. Finally, we will have some prizes to share. So this Plat Snack survey link should be live now, but some session feedback would be great. Maybe there's help that you need as well, whether it's deploying the Smartsheet app, whether it's maybe you're trying to figure out, our security and IT, governance team, they're not so sure in how we need to open these apps up and how we need to set up policies. If there's questions around that or hackathons, maybe you want to do some business process transformation. There's a routine task that you're trying to automate. We can help you there. So leverage that survey link to raise your hand to see where you need help. So let's kind of get into the Teams platform components and figure out like, what does this actually mean? So obviously we're using Teams for chat and meetings. People originally were saying that is Teams really just a Skype 2.0? Well, no, it's obviously much more broader than that, as you've probably seen and hopefully have experienced. So it's really how you can connect conversations, the documents, the applications you and your team work on, and then incorporate business processes that you can transform or modernize the way you work, which really results in getting things done faster and more efficiently. So maybe you've authored a Word document in a project team channel, or you've transformed a manual business approval process with a Power App, or even interacted with a self-service bot to get pay and benefits information from Workday or ADP or the like. That's how you can kind of start to think about Teams as a platform. So we frequently hear that organizations struggle to drive adoption. This Forrester study indicates that customers who leverage applications and Teams increase user adoption by 75%. Keeps things sticky, keeps people coming back. And really, Teams allows you to stay in the flow of your work and not get sidetracked by bouncing around to different windows and applications or tirelessly searching for information. You can do all of that in Teams, so that's pretty slick. So while IT does not need, they do need to allow access to many of these applications like Smartsheets or Adobe Sign. The business justification to allow these applications is much easier today because you're already using these applications. So it's easier to pass through all of those administrative hoops and change control boards. So, all right, let's get into it. So I'd like to introduce, I think we're going with Sam and Heather first. Take it away, please. And if you'd like, you can go ahead and take over as presenter. Just click that button, and then you can drive the slides forward.
Perfect. I will. I'll try my hand here at taking control. And yeah, thanks so much, everyone, for joining and letting us participate in the conversation. My name is Sam Branson. I'll go through kind of who we have here on the call today, but we're very excited to take just a few minutes. The goal here is to be brief, to kind of paint a little bit of the picture of the value that you can derive from leveraging the integration that we have between Smartsheet and Teams. This is our legal disclaimer. My legal department will be very happy that I shared this with you. Also incredibly boring to look at. But so the three of us that are here today are Heather Leiter, who is our Senior Strategic Account Executive. She works with some of our largest customer accounts. And then her partner in crime, who also is a principal sales engineer, also supporting some of our largest accounts, Gretchen, is with us today. Very excited to have them here. My role is our Senior Manager of Strategic Alliances. So I'm responsible for our tech partnerships, as well as a few of our key ecosystem partnerships, which include Microsoft, among a few others. And so we're very excited to kind of talk briefly about who Smartsheet is. So we'll give you a little bit of an overview. The goal is to give you just enough information so that you do know who Smartsheet is, what we do. And then we'll just talk a little bit about the conversations and chat integrations that we have, specifically Microsoft Teams. Talk about the 3 ways that you can currently leverage the integration, as well as some best practices around that. So without further ado, I will come back to share a few things, but I'm going to pass it over to Heather, given that she's talking to our real customers every day, day in and day out, to give you a little bit more information about Smartsheet.
Sounds good. Are you going to run the slides then?
I can run, or you can grab them if you'd like.
Okay, let me see if I can take control. All right, I guess I'm running now. All right, so if you guys are not familiar with Smartsheet, you can see we are the top-rated collaborative work management platform. We've been in business over 15 years. We have over 90% of the Fortune 100 companies and over 80,000 customers work with us across the globe. Let me see if I can get to the next slide. Here we go. Sorry, have not presented in Teams before. So
hey, you're doing great.
Thank you. First time. Smartsheet empowers organizations and teams to dynamically plan, execute, and report on work, to move faster, drive innovation, and achieve more. And so the way people work today, it needs to be dynamic. So either you're working in your systems of record, like your ERP, CRM, or you're working in email, documents, communications, but there's that middle layer, that's that missing piece that's bringing everyone together. And that's where Smartsheet comes in. We are that dynamic work platform connecting everything together. So just kind of high level of what Smartsheet does. When you're thinking about the platform, it's really important to start with the capabilities that enable you to coordinate and execute at that team level, just when you're in there working on those sheets. And that's what builds this pyramid that has the sheets with the conversations where you can integrate with Teams, automation, notifications, and having those forms and even the mobile app that flows up into reports and dashboards so that the executive team can have that visibility into what's going on in real time, so you really can make better decisions and know what's going on in your organization. So I think I was going to hand it back over to Sam, and then we'll hand it back over to Gretchen for a demo.
Yeah, sounds great. And thanks, Heather. And please feel free to ask questions also in follow-up to this. If I don't mention it later on, you're welcome to reach out directly. I'm happy to facilitate connecting you with the right folks to support your account here at the Smartsheet team. So just a couple thoughts around, why our customers come to us and where they're deriving value. And that really starts with kind of what are the problems that they're facing as a business. And you saw the previous slide, there's a lot of different platform capabilities, and part of that is connected to just we've had to continue to build and invent and to support different needs of our customers. And part of our thinking when it comes to how we build product and what we offer as a part of our platform, which really is, we started off as more of a tool, and we've since evolved into truly an enterprise platform that supports users at an end user level, team level, or also enterprise top-down management across organizations. we have sort of the capabilities to support all of those. But when we break it down to kind of the core challenges that we see within work ecosystems, these are sort of the themes that we see most often. One being siloed. So there's just this one team or one org doing something here, and then there's another team doing something somewhere else. And that collaboration, coordination between those teams just doesn't exist. And they need a mechanism. They need a means to sort of eliminate or break down those barriers. Visibility is a common challenge we see. I'm sure when I say this, you're probably thinking of an example in your work where maybe it would help if you had greater visibility into what other teams are working on or doing, or what is the timeline for the release of X. That's a common thing that we see our customers leveraging our platform in order to eliminate that challenge. Slow movement, just sort of across the org, the ability to move quickly. We have a conversation. Let's quickly align on here's the plan and how do we execute. That's something that our customers are using us often for. Clarity in terms of at scale. How do we understand who's doing what we're supposed to be focused on? And then we of course see fragmentation and disconnected scenarios that are impacting our customers today. And I'm going to sort of quit belaboring the rest of this. But as it relates to Microsoft Teams and the integration, we have, I don't even remember exactly how far back it was that we started the integration, but we've had the integration live for about a year, maybe a bit more. And it's probably safe to assume that even the features we share with you today, that's not where we're done. I won't share anything sort of non-public today, but you can imagine that there are things we're thinking about of how to better serve customers to work from where they want. But that's ultimately what we're looking to do, is as an extension of eliminating these challenges in work. One of them is you want to work where you want to work. And so if you want to do your work inside email, or you want to do your work inside of Smartsheet, or you want to do your work inside of Teams, we want to support that and enable you to do your best work wherever you want to work from. And so with that, the integration that we've built currently today offers 3 primary areas of functionality: channel notifications, so sending notifications or automatically getting a notification when something changes in some part of an artifact of Smartsheet. We have a Smartsheet bot, which does some automated alerting. And then also we've enabled a Teams tab where you can embed Smartsheet items right there within your channel. I will stop there and hand it over to Gretchen, knowing we're
Sure.
tight on time. And Gretchen, take it away.
You got it. All right, so I am going to go ahead and share my screen so you all can see that. And I'm on a large screen, so I'll zoom in so you all can see it. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, looks great.
Perfect. All right, so I'm Gretchen Fitzgibbons. I work on our sales engineering team, so I sit between product sales and our clients. I'm going to take you through a couple of those key elements of our integration with Teams so you can get a better visual understanding of how that all works together. So what you're seeing here, where we're going to start, is I'm in the Teams channel here. I've set up a couple of examples as we have a myriad of use cases for everything from M&A to project management, legal support, and sales. But I'll show you sort of where those things mesh together so that you can have people, again, as Sam was pointing out, and Heather as well, where they can work where they feel comfortable and you can get the most out of both systems. Where we're starting here is an example of posts and notifications that are going to be coming into various channels. These can be everything from a new post to an update to the new edition of content. This is going to allow you to make sure that you're up to speed on everything that's going on, whether you're in Teams or you're in Smartsheet. How this works from a pure functionality perspective is that on the particular Smartsheet side, for instance, I'll use this team vacation schedule sheet as an example. Anytime that I have updates set up, or I can set specific parameters and triggers, that's going to then go out to a specific Teams channel. How that's set up within Smartsheet is you can actually go into a Smartsheet sheet, And you're going to have an option because of this integration called Send an Alert to Microsoft Teams. The nice element of this is that you can set up these workflows once, and they'll be looking for particular triggers and criterion, and then be sending those notifications to that same post section we just saw in Teams. So for example, I have one workflow set up here that anytime that I have new updates related to vacation schedules in this case, I want them to automatically alert anyone who's part of the Microsoft Teams general channel. And then I can specify what those specific triggers can be. They can be very general. We have some customers that even have it down to if there's a major issue, it can go to a very specific subset channel so that you're getting people as soon as something is happening, it's really looking for those updates and sending those alerts, not just in Smartsheet or email or within mobile, but it's also sending a push to that Teams channel. So this is what's in place behind the scenes. It's going to be looking for those changes that happen and then updating in real time any kind of highlights that are going in or being updated. So if I change some of these things here, going on holiday, I can save those. As soon as those saves are in place and I have that automation, it will start to send those updates to the Teams channel. What's nice in addition to any of these updates that you're seeing coming in here is that you can also start to add in different Smartsheet items, as you'll see here. I've got a dashboard that's incorporated in as a live tab. So our dashboards are real time. So as you have new updates happening to the dashboards within Smartsheet, as they're added into the Teams tab like you're seeing here, they're going to update automatically and dynamically. So you're not having to go back and add new links, worry about issues that aren't coming through, or perhaps have someone have access to something that they don't need to or not have access to it. So I can see those highlights here. I have my resource HR hub. It's got a calendar of that same events as well as any kind of interaction to make that as seamless as possible, whether someone is working out of Teams directly, working out of the dashboard, etc. So you're not going to have a break in communication. Other elements you can have include sheets, reports, dashboards, and of course forms. So forms are a common way that we have people engaging with Smartsheet content. They can actually engage with this embedded form right here. So if they need to provide feedback, everything from performance feedback to updates on travel or legal questions, etc. They can all fill those in here. And you can set these forms down at the sheet level, so you have complete control over how different individuals are interfacing with them. And a number of our customers like to embed these forms within tabs. To show you what that looks like in terms of the process, we're all about showing that live so you can understand just how straightforward that can be. So for example, if I'm on my general Teams channel here, I can go into my tab and you're going to see options. Once the Smartsheet add-in is available as an option or surfaced by the admin within Teams, you should see the Smartsheet icon here as one of your available apps. You'll also have the option if you are embedding a form or a published link to add it in, like I did with my form, using this website app option here. I'm going to show you the process for adding a Smartsheet tab. So for example, I'm going to click on the Smartsheet tab. Depending on how fast your internet is, then it will pull up your example. Once it goes to that, it will surface any of the Smartsheet items that you are shared to. So if you're not shared to something, it's not going to be something that you would be able to add as a tab into your screen. It's then going to allow you to choose from a number of different sources, dashboards, sheets, reports, etc. So in my case, if I wanted to add FBF Corp, which is our mock example, I can pull up those instances. It will then pull up any kind of content that I need for that and let me know if there's anything else that I want to include. So if I wanted to include the Employee Resource Hub dashboard, for instance, I can select that option. It will give me details on if I want it to be editable or read only, as it's a published dashboard, so I don't have anyone accessing things they shouldn't. I can then make sure that that's going through. I also am going to have the option to say, hey, do I want to post this to the channel tab? So similar to that posting and chat component that you saw before, you can determine that if you want to notify people when these are added so they're aware of any new key components. I'm going to go ahead and save that. That's going to then add it, as you'll see here, as one of my options within my team. And there you go. We always like to show how easy and straightforward it is to illustrate how simple and easy to adopt these can be, and helping to make those connections between all of your teams, regardless of where they're interfacing with either system. And last but not least, we're going to talk about everybody's favorite subject, which is chatbots. So the nice thing that you can have here is we have the ability to use Teams chatbots and Smartsheet workflows through our bridge solution to allow for more direct interfacing with different teams, while you can take a lot of the pressure off of your groups. The way that this can be done, so you can get an idea of what that looks like, is you can set up one of your chats and set up your chat bot. So for example, I have my legal bot here, which is using the chatbot component within Teams and is also connected with our workflow engine. This is feeding in from a legal FAQ sheet. So as you update your legal FAQ sheet, it can ensure that the content and the questions and answers, as well as the terms that you're using to trigger these, and the approval of said terms, for instance, are all feeding together to allow your chatbot to be both dynamic and flexible, so that you can take a lot of the pressure off of your teams and instead use those chatbots to fill the gap in a very seamless way. What's nice with these chatbots is not only do you need to have them here within your Microsoft Teams channel, but you can also embed those chatbots into a Smartsheet dashboard. So for example, I can interface with this here, determine what kind of engagement I want to have, and then see if there's any kind of commentary or tagging. So for example, I could say liability, and then depending on how I have those tags set up in my Smartsheet FAQ sheet, it can then pull those up, detailing everything you need here and actually surface them based on priority. This can be used for a number of use cases, well outside of anything with legal, but we are starting to see more ways to take the pressure off of teams when they get frequently asked questions or scenarios, allowing you to have a much more dynamic experience and taking advantage of both the Smartsheet side and of course the features within Teams. And then, of course, as we talked about before, you can then have that embedded here in the Teams channels, or even work out of a Smartsheet dashboard so that you're engaging with those same chatbots in a different interface. All about meeting people where they are, feeding them consistent, reliable information, and being able to have that interaction regardless of where they're coming in. All designed to make everybody working better and ensuring that they are going to have that content included regardless of the mediums that they prefer. So giving you a quick sample of some of the ways that we work together. These are some of the areas that we've seen the most value and wider usage. But as you have questions or anything else that comes out after today's conversation, we're happy to continue to provide more information and appreciate the time to get to share this with you. So with that, I will hand back the last few minutes to Travis and team. So feel free to go ahead and share your screen and appreciate the time.
Before you jump away here, and this is Doug, folks, great job, Gretchen, of walking through what the possibilities are. Talk to us a little bit about the implementation of Smartsheets within Teams. What does that process look like? How much time does it take, and any recommendations you might have?
Sure. So what we've found is, again, once you have that available within your Teams channel, so as long as your Teams admin has allowed for Smartsheet to be one of those available apps that is permissioned, it's as seamless as what I just showed you. So as seamless as adding in those workflow chat channels, as seamless as adding in a tab, and then basically driving your teams either to the Smartsheet side or Microsoft Teams. So it really is that simple and straightforward. The thing I always encourage is just making sure and checking to see if Smartsheet has been added as an app. There's no cost associated in any way. That's the only barrier I've seen that slows anything down. So everything I showed you there, it can literally be that straightforward.
Very good. Any other gotchas or quick tips and tricks for the team?
I would say probably more around your team being aware which channel it's in and being clear on some of the use cases that are the biggest focus. A lot of times, some of the kind of most valuable components that I've seen have been adding in forms and dashboards, as they are great, simple, and straightforward ways for people to provide input and get information. In some cases where you do want to share reports, I always just look at who are those particular teams that need to be shared and making sure that they're shared at the right levels so that you don't have somebody going in and not being able to access something you want them to be able to engage with. Okay. Other than that, those are really the more straightforward side, and it's a nice integration, and that integration is almost a misnomer because it is so straightforward. Nothing to be intimidated by, and definitely something that's widely used across a number of our customers.
Okay, and then the last one before we open it up to the group here too. A lot of our third-party apps, the end users like to pin those to the left rail inside of Teams. Is that possible with Smartsheets as well?
You can pin those as well. You can pin them to the left rail. We did that with some recent conversations we had with a customer, just to, again, bringing it to the top, allowing for greater focus, and very user-friendly, so it won't be a barrier to your users.
Gotcha. Very good. Well, I appreciate you answering my question.
Sorry, Doug, what's that?
I was just saying, thanks for answering my question. I was going to open up to those on the call too. So.
The other thing that I was going to mention is in regards to getting the app out there. Certainly, I can do it from my personal view. So if I go to the Teams App Store in the lower left-hand corner, I click on Apps, do a search on Smartsheet. I can add that for my own view. But if IT wants to push this out to a subset of users that are heavily using Smartsheets and push the app out there, they can do that with an application policy in Teams as well. So a couple different ways to
Great point. Yeah, and so I always say before anything gets kind of communicated to the team is just make sure that it's one of those apps that shows up and there's no cost or anything like that. As long as that's available, the process to getting it up and running is incredibly fast, and something that helps you get the best out of both systems right away.
That's the second time you mentioned there's no cost, Gretchen. So that's
I know. There's always when somebody thinks about add-in, there's always like they see kind of a dollar sign. So I always like to point that out. So there's no kind of hesitation on that front.
Got it. Questions from the group? Anybody want to come off mute and ask a specific use case that they have for the Smartsheet team? All right. Well, that's one of the offers that we have. If you do think of questions, certainly don't hesitate to reach out to us, to any of us here on this call. But as far as what's next, Travis and I do these series and to drive awareness and also help with the implementation. And we wanted to call out a few key items that are important as we go forward. First one really being that, not as the slide shares here, but we're here to help, whether it's Travis and I that work with you on your individual accounts or our counterparts or peers as CSMs. We are all here to help and support your interest around third-party app integration into Teams to help your end users with adoption. So don't hesitate to reach out to us as we go forward. Certainly work to install the Smartsheet app. If you haven't already during this call, give it a try and see how it goes. And again, if there's questions, let us know what we can do to assist. And really the last thing I'll ask, as Travis mentioned at the beginning, please take some time to fill out the survey. We're looking to get better at these as we go along and really are also interested in getting your feedback on where we can dive in with you to support your needs, but also looking for other partners that you may have recommendations that you want to see us bring forward. So doing so also puts you in the drawing for a prize, as Travis mentioned too, and we're happy to give those away. So we'll look forward to your participation in that, and also look forward to seeing you next week if you're able to join us. We have Dynamic Signal coming in to do a similar conversation around integrating their application. I think there is one question. Go ahead, Seth.
I'll just unmute. So for two questions, really. I assume Smartsheet is a paid product that is not included in the Microsoft suite, right?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was the easy one. Next one is, so not specifically related to Smartsheet, but you probably have some insight. So a lot of times if I'm adding content to a team, like an app, I'm not sure if I should be creating a channel for that and then adding it there, or if I should just have, the channel for the group, and then, that could be related to many different things, and then add it there as an additional one. So like maybe I might have a SharePoint app and I might have a Smartsheet app in a channel, or would you recommend breaking it down to two different channels? Just, how do people tend to organize?
I mean, I can add the Smartsheet side first, and then Travis and Doug, you guys can jump in. What we usually see is it's usually a couple of teams delineated by certain departments or areas of focus, and then within that they kind of have sub teams, a general channel where it has sort of the more generic content available to them. That can be SharePoint, Smartsheet, etc. And then there may be sub channels within that could be for a specific team or a level of priority. Usually tends to cascade from there, at least with the customers that I work with.
Okay, so you would probably put it in the general tab along with other
I would probably
apps?
put it in general, yeah. That's usually where I start, and then some of the more focus groups or higher priority or risk, then you can have those as specific channels to certain teams.
Okay, thanks.
I think the question or the answer is it depends, right? No one likes to hear the "it depends" answer necessarily, but it depends on
You sound like a real sales guy, Travis.
I'm definitely not a sales guy. So, I mean, with that too, if you already have an established team and you have established channels, yeah, wherever you think that it makes the most amount of sense, right? Because you can also use like the at mention capabilities from a channel post and at mention, whether it's people, individuals to go take action. So yeah, it depends, but great question.
Thanks.
Any other
Okay.
questions? And if not, again, we thank you very much for your time. Smartsheet team, great job, and thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Take care, all.
Thanks for having
again.
us.
Thanks, Gretchen, Sam, and Heather. Appreciate it. Great job.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Thank you.